Hey everyone, Ryan here. Today we are focusing on the story of a woman who needed water. And while stood next to a well to quench her thirst, her life was transformed forever. If you'd like to read the story, then you can find it in the Bible in the book of John, chapter 4, verses 1 to 40. In these verses, we meet an unnamed woman cast aside by her community who engages in a conversation with Jesus, stood next to a well, where he shares about God and himself and offers her the chance to change hers and other people's lives. There are three things that I want to draw out from this story about the way that Jesus shares faith with this woman. The fact that he knows us, he loves us, and he invites us. He knows us. Jesus knew everything about this woman. He knew about her past, about her broken relationships, about her culture, and about her background. And yet, he started a conversation with her. And it's through that conversation that Jesus changes the woman's life. He builds an everlasting relationship and inspires her to share the news of the gospel with the people who had previously cast her aside. We might not know everything about a person when we start a conversation. And you know what? We probably won't know everything by the end. But if we follow Jesus' lead and example, we are called to reach out, to get to know one another and to build deep relationships and ultimately point others towards him. He loves us. Jesus loved this woman. He reached out. He showed compassion to her circumstances and he broke down cultural barriers and traditions to radically love an outcast. At some point in our lives, we have, do, or will feel like the woman, like an outcast, unloved by society and the people around us. But Jesus shines through that darkness and loves us, just like he loved her. And so our call to action today is to radically love like Jesus did. Be the love and light of the gospel. Reach out to those we know who are hurt and broken. Get to know people on the edges of society and love those who society tell us are unlovable. Love requires action. So what action can you take today to love others radically? He invites us. Jesus doesn't just share his love in huge gestures. Most of the time, it starts with an invitation into a conversation. Here we see it in verse 7. It starts simply with him asking for a drink from the well. And just like that well, quickly the conversation goes deep and is filled with life-giving water. We also see the power of inviting others, because when Jesus invites the woman into faith and checking her actions, she goes back into her village and invites others into meeting him too. The act of sharing and inviting others creates a culture of sharing and inviting others, causing it to spread and grow. So how can we invite others today? Well, we start just like Jesus and the woman. We start a conversation. This amazing story of a conversation with a woman who needed water is just as relevant today as it has ever been. Jesus shows us exactly how to share faith with other people by getting to know one another, radically loving all and inviting others in. And we can do that because at some point we have all been in the position of the woman at the well, broken and outcast. And at some point we've received an invitation. We've started a conversation and we've received the radical love of Jesus. And maybe you're not in that place yet. If you haven't reached that, then I want to invite you today into a life with Jesus at the center of it, because he knows everything about you. He loves you and he wants to invite you into a life filled with life-giving water. He knows what's happened in your past, what you're going through in your present, and what's going to happen in the future. And he wants to invite you in to that life of forgiveness. And he does that simply because he loves you. That's how Jesus shares faith with others. And that's our call to share faith too. Maybe if there's anything that you want to chat more about after this talk today, head to arunchurch.com/connect. And someone from the church will be well up for having that conversation and inviting you into a conversation today about how you can put Jesus at the center of your life.